Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? Welcome into Thursday. Today at noon, we will have our Pathfinders live Q&A. We are inviting the Wednesday group. So this live will be a 90-minute live. So bring your questions. I want to understand my North Node, right? I talk a lot about North Node on this channel, and North Node is really your karmic purpose. Okay, it's what you're here to do. But recently I've had a few interesting downloads. We are now in North Node Taurus and South Node Scorpio. So if you have North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio, or if you have your nodes, your nodal placement in the 2nd and 8th house, like I do, so this is of particular interest to you. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about one of the things that I have really been given a lot of information about, which is, and you'll know this if you take my tarot class, that since we're doing tarot here, let's just talk about it. I see everyone wanting clarity, right? Like, what is the answer? But if you don't have the right question, you're not getting the right answer. In my tarot class, I talk about the importance of asking the right question. And that's even more powerful than what comes back to you as the answer. You may feel like, oh, I finally got it, eureka, I have the answer. But it's only when you have the right question. The question tracks back to your why. We talk about that too. The question tracks back to your karmic purpose and your path. And if you're kind of out of sync with that, then you're probably not asking the right question. All right. So we're going to do some things on that this month. I have a class in the middle of June on the spiritual blueprint. All right. So you can see, and that will help give you some clarity around what the question is. And then later on in the month, we're going to talk about stepping into life on purpose, activating your mission. And the only way to do any of these things is to ask the right question, to start at the right place. Otherwise, I've been feeling this energy of spinning, okay, just spinning. I can even see it in the readings where it's like, okay, that story came around again. Oh, wow, why is that coming around again? Because people are spinning, okay, people are spinning. So let's straighten this out. We have an opportunity here in July. So this is June we're talking about. We're June 2nd today. There's an opportunity in July and then again in January. So I like that the universe is doing this, not giving us too much pressure to like figure it out by July. I've only got 30 days. But that's still a really 3D approach to this, right? It's much more about getting into the vortex, getting into the quantum. We'll talk more about quantum too. I'm going to interview a friend of mine who wrote a book about quantum healing and quantum thinking, Diane Collins. We'll do that later this month because this is about instantaneously drawing it towards you. So be prepared for all of that stuff this month. This is going to be a big month, and it is a transition period, of course, because the South Node is in Scorpio, and that's all about transition. I don't think it's about throwing out the baby with the bathwater, though. I don't think it's about taking it back to the studs. Unless something is really off, right? Like unless you're in a really difficult place. I don't think it's about that. So let's see where we go here. But the most important thing is you get the question. You get the question right, and that's what's in the South Node. So we'll talk more about that, okay? All right. Links to any of the classes are below. Infinite abundance. My. Staying focused. Protected by angels. So some of you are on the periphery of what you're supposed to be doing. You're kind of like dipping a toe in, and then you see that it works, but then there's just these other dynamics that are around you that kind of force you to go, well, maybe this all airy-fairy stuff is just airy-fairy stuff. Maybe I just need to stay in my 3D life, and every once in a while I'll dip my toe into the spiritual path, or I'll dip my toe into expanding into my purpose in my spiritual gifts, activating my spiritual gifts. At some point, there won't be a way to go back. Remember, I've been saying for a long time that the boat is at the dock, and you've got one foot on the boat and one foot on the dock. Scorpio and Taurus are about making the choices to transform how you are safe, how you are cared for. And it's more in the 5D than it is in the 3D now. It's like, woo! So you've got to choose. Do you want to stay in this 3D paradigm that has created something for you? You've created something here, but if there's not joy, if there's not whatever, it's time to like boop, step over into the 5D energy and activate your mission. A lot of us have been playing with that for a long time, and it's really, you know what, we say self-confidence a lot as if it's a thing that you can turn on and off, and I feel like it's a way of being. I just feel like when someone is self-confident, they don't have to push it at all. Not at all. Things come to them because it's really a high vibration experience to be in self-confidence. It's not cocky. It's not narcissistic. It's none of those things. It's quiet and peace. That's real self-confidence, when you can be like, I trust that I am protected. I trust that I am on the right path. I'm going to stay focused. I'm not going to get all twisted around. I'm not going to allow other people to wobble me out of this based on what they need, based on their own desires and fears and everything like that. Like, you really have to learn. And I'm right here with you. This is not like me, like, woo, from the mount or anything. I'm saying to you, like, this is us. This is a very egalitarian kind of experience. Very flat organization. We're not doing hierarchy here, okay? So let's see. And those who really like hierarchy, who like power, who like, it's going to flip for them because, and I feel like this is what's happening. A lot of people who are in almost in their second Saturn return, and you guys have asked me to make videos about Saturn returns. It happens when you're 28, 29. It happens again when you're 57, 58, 59. And so when you get to the other side of that in your 60s, you are someone with true wisdom, right? You've actually done a thing in your spiritual path that is, showing up for you in a really loud way. And you have some wisdom to take from that, especially after your second one. After your first one, you're like, whoop, what was that? But after your second one, you're like, I know, I've been here before. All right, so let's see where we go here in the reading. Okay. Knight of Cups underneath. There's this 10 of Pentacles. There's the Fool. I don't know why. This bottom is really speaking to me right now. The Devil energy and the Ace of Swords. I'm even going to go for the Hierophant here. Okay. So this says to me that this is a very kind of traditional path, right? This looks very traditional to me. And this is like, okay, love and marriage. We hang out together. We do our thing together. But there's some of you who are freed from this because it kind of hasn't been the experience that is most aligned. And you're finally seeing that. Some of you will be stepping out of marriages in the next year. Okay, so North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio, it's transiting in those signs. So take a look in your own birth chart. This is what we'll do in that class. Take a look in your own birth chart and see where it's transiting for you. See where, what parts of your life are affected. Okay. Taurus energy is obviously very, very much about money and financial stability and all of that kind of stuff. And you can see it in the global situation, what we have with inflation. We have with all kinds of stuff going on with this. So personally, the answer is in the South Node. The answer is in the South Node of how do we transform this? Do we blow it up? Do we take it back to the studs? Do we keep what's good and shed what's blocking? If there's a lot of bureaucracy blocking movement, that needs to go. Okay, and this is a collective decision that we need to make. If there's a lot of bureaucracy blocking the will of the people, that's the thing. It's the bureaucracy of it. It's the old structures. It's right. We have Saturn going into retrograde starting in the beginning of June 4th. And Saturn, I guess I'm talking about Saturn today. North Node, talking about Saturn. Saturn is going into retrograde until October. And so we have this moment in time where we're going over old lessons and we're going, is this a good rule? Is this a good restriction? Is this something that serves us? Is this growth? Is this growth, or is this hoping to go back to the past? This is the thing that is going to be looked at over the next 5 months. Now, personally, you can look at what are the lessons that I have maybe chosen to ignore? What am I not seeing? What am I not seeing? Sometimes we don't learn lessons, not because we don't want to, but because sometimes we don't know the question. We don't know the root of it. We're also kind of blind to our own the things we need to change, and it's embarrassing, or it feels hard to look at the things that we're like, yeah, I guess I'm kind of controlling. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of, too permissive, or, I guess I'm, whatever it is. I guess I'm not that good of a communicator. I guess I need help in this. I need work in this. So honestly, the key in spiritual life, and not even in spiritual life, just as someone who is aware that you're having lessons, that this is a learning experience, right? I haven't even laid down the cards and it's almost 12 minutes. Oh my God. Sometimes we are a little bit immune to the things that we most need to change, because it's hard to go back into that place and go, oh God, I don't think I'm that good a communicator. Really? I'm supposed to be a great communicator. I don't think but there's parts that aren't that good because they are tender, maybe sore, maybe they're a little sore, maybe they hurt. And so, part of this spiritual path is being this authentically yourself. And I'm going to say to you that whenever you have a hard conversation to have, whenever you have a hard choice to make, whenever the thing feels icky or stressful, flood the zone with compassion for yourself, for the other person. Give the other person a break, because most of the time other people are just doing things in their own, narcissists notwithstanding. Okay, we all know, we've been talking about this for a long time. This is like a person who has blind spots themselves. Okay? And so being able to slip into this energy of compassion for yourself, like, oh, I should have brought this up a long time ago, or, oh, this is really hard for me to talk about, or, oh, I realize that this is how I'm managing this relationship with you, that I'm, running away, or it's an escapist thing, or it's a controlling thing, or whatever it is. Like, seeing clearly, and this is Saturn, right? So we're moving into the place of Saturn, seeing clearly who you are and what do you want to teach? What do you want to bring to the world? And is it where you are? If it is, congratulations. I doubt that we're all 100%. There's no such thing. Forget what I just said. There's no such thing as being, I'm 100% healed. Healing is a lifelong thing. This is a system that you're putting in place. So it can't just be like, okay, fix this. The car's fixed. I'll never have another oil change again. Right? That doesn't make any sense. So what's going on here is a little bit of a realignment of how we're living and working. And the question in the South Node is the thing that's going to give you clarity, because South Node is the thing you already know. It's the thing that comes from past lives. It comes from ancestry. It comes from all these things. And it's stuff that you just kind of take for granted, or lessons that you've already mastered. Okay, if you have South Node in Scorpio, you likely have already mastered massive transformation. You might have even been in a past life someone who was lacking in integrity, someone who was, stealing people's identities or something, right? Like, so whatever you're bringing to the table, whatever your South Node is, we're all dealing with this South Node in Scorpio collectively. So it is going to bump up against all of us, even if your South Node isn't in Scorpio. Okay. But we're going to bump up against this a little bit. So some of us have this urge to just blow things up and like start from scratch. Others of us are holding on to something that really needs a re-engineering, a reworking. And when Saturn is in retrograde, we're going over all these things that think of it this way. All right. If Saturn is the teacher, the karmic teacher, think of it as you're going to be left alone for 5 months. And Saturn is saying, okay, here's the list of to-dos. And in October, Saturn's going to come back and go, all right, let's see how you did. Did you look at this? Did you work with this? Did you get some healing for this? Did you allow this feeling to happen? Did you allow yourself to go in this direction? Right? That's what's going to happen in October. So right now in June, we're preparing for something big that's happening in July. And again, in January of 2023, I'll do some more videos about this. But there's the astrology of July means that there's going to be a moment in time when you're going to have to make a choice. Okay? And right now, we're in this period of assessment. June is a very lovely, light energy. And we're going to have to assess, do we want to keep spinning in this idea? Do we want to keep spinning in this issue, situation? You keep getting ponged around by your fear and all that kind of stuff? Or do we want to go to the South Node and go, South Node, what's the question? What's the question I need to ask so that I can get the clarity that I need to in order to move my life forward? Because up until now, a lot of us have not been asking the right question. That's why that came through for me this morning so loudly is, are you asking the right question? Okay, so Two of Swords. It's, oh my God, it's like Two of Swords, Six of Pentacles, lots of talking, Mary Jo. Sun, Five of Pentacles, Moon, Lovers, Two of Cups, I like where this is going, Eight of Swords, and the Seven of Pentacles. Okay, there's something in business called, I hope I get this right. I don't know. I'll get the concept right because I know what I'm trying to say here, but I don't know if I'm getting the name of it right. It's called sunk productivity or something along those lines. It's like, I've already put so much time and effort into something. I feel the need to see it out. But you don't know what seeing it out means. Like, you don't know. What does that even mean? See it out? See it out where? Like, to what date? And that's sometimes when we give ourselves a deadline and say, okay, I'm going to see this through. And we can work with our own astrology to see what makes sense for us. But I'm going to say, I'm going to let this ride. And I'm just going to surrender for the next 30 days. Because that's what I'm doing in June. I'm just going to surrender in June. Because July, I'm going to be asked to make some decisions. Just like all of us are. And I feel like there's a lot of people who have not made those decisions because we're afraid of losing money, afraid of poverty, afraid of our families kicking us out, afraid of friendships kicking us out, and afraid of not really being safe. Okay, because North Node in Taurus is about safety. We're afraid of not being safe. And there can be this Two of Cups thing, like there's strength in numbers. Okay, there's power in us working together or doing things. That's why this community is so vibrant and so powerful, because we are working together. There's a collective buzz here, a hive. Okay, and I see it on the lives on Thursdays. There's a collective buzz here that is really, really beautiful. So we start to do this kind of like, look at the hierarchical nature of this card. Someone has everything and the other person has nothing. But is that really true? That person who's kneeling could be the most compassionate person on the planet. Could be someone who is, this is a very Taurus, Scorpio kind of looking card. It's really like, it's all about the Benjamins. And I think that's what we're shifting here, that it's not really about that. How do we define safety if it's not about money? Because we've defined safety as money for a long time, and maybe you don't personally, but as a culture, as a society, we've have this fantasy about becoming really rich and then being free of life. Solves a lot of problems, that's for sure. But are you free? I would question that. Are you free? So what's coming up here is a lot of past life stuff, a lot of push or Saturn energy around, am I being authentic? Am I walking my talk? Am I doing what I'm here to do? And do I even know what that is if I don't know what my question is, if I don't know what my why is, if I don't know what I'm doing? Then I'm just flailing around. And that's where you get spinning. When you don't know your why, you get spinning. Because you're like, I've got one foot on the ground and I'm just trying to like, it's like, you know, you're tied to the ground with one leg. You just keep walking in a circle. Okay. It's like a boat with one oar, just keeps going in a circle. And if you've sunk a lot of time and effort, I hear this all the time with people who've been like, well, we've been married for such a long time. It seems foolish to, and maybe that's true. I've been in this career for such a long time. It seems foolish to fill in the blank. And maybe that's true. But it can't go on like it is. So that's going to force you to have some conversations. That's going to force you to do some work. That's going to force you to learn something new. That's going to force you to say, okay, this is what's good about this. This is what's not good about this. If you're in a situation where there's nothing good about it, then Scorpio, past life Scorpio is inviting you to say, the question is, how long do I stay before I transition out of this? This South Node in Scorpio is giving you, you know, South Node is not just like to run away from. We talk about this a lot in that class. It's not about running away from it. It's about cultivating it for what I can. It's the storehouse of the ruby dagger and those pearl boots and, you know, the sword of invincibility or whatever it is in the game. That's where all those things are. But in order to access them and go toward the North Node in your quest for your karmic destiny, you must know what the key is, the combination lock to open that South Node and get those tools. Those tools are the question. Okay? What? Having the right question to question what's going on here is saying that you're kind of putting your own feet to the fire. You're looking what's going on for you and you're going, am I happy? Is this what I want to create? Am I living in integrity? Am I doing the thing that I'm here to do? Am I kind of pussyfooting around my spiritual gifts? Am I not really activating them? Because here's the thing. We're only being given a certain amount of time. We have a portal here, and we talk about portals and we do readings and all this kind of stuff, but we have a portal here that gives us time to make an easier transition. It's going to get harder if we miss this portal, this time period. And I'm here to say to you that I feel this next year between July of 2022 and July of 2023, when the North Node is going to move into, say it with me, Aries, South Node in Libra. So if you're not balanced by next July, if you're not in that place of understanding your question so that you as Aries, can move forward, if you're not there, then you're like really like, oh my God, what do oh my God. If your life is out of balance by next July 2023, it's going to get tougher. Okay? I'm just throwing it out there because you can look back and say, look at how much time, investment, time and treasure I have sunk into a situation. What needs to change? Meditate on what is my question. I'm going to put a plug in here for journaling. Here's a link to a video I made a long time ago about how to journal, okay? I have been wrestling with a similar situation. And so I said to myself, I talk about journaling all the time, and I've done it since I was in 7th grade or whatever it was. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to find the journal from when I started what I was doing here. And this is where the information has been. All this time, all of the things I'm just talking about, I'm reviewing this old journal, and it's showing me. Because when you look at something you wrote like a different person, like 5 years ago, right? As a different person, it gets you out of your, it gets you out of your, okay? Is that a word? And you're able to go, that's where the aha moments come from. So I encourage you to journal. I urge you to start now. If you haven't, because next July, this is the time to really understand the question. Because by next July, you'll, over the course of this next year, and we will likely do some kind of project collectively over the next year to help us get to that place arrive with this kind of triumphant feeling. Okay? Now, look where we're going here. This is a beautiful energy here. The Sun and the Lovers card. This is like, it's in you can move out of this feeling of fear and lack, right? This lack mentality. It's your choice. All right? When you understand the question you're here to ask, now it's being put to you. Okay, you found the question. Guess where the answer to that question is? North Node. Go look it up. Get your birth chart out and look it up. Okay? Join us for the Activating Your Mission class. I don't even think it's up yet on Teachable. I'll be talking more about it. But today was kind of a way of looking at this. So I'm going to keep going. If you want to continue on with me with this conversation, the link is below. If you're part of Pathfinders, you know it. We're just going to keep going. All right. See you there.